Welcome to today's Explainer. We are diving into a story that honestly, millions of students live through every single year. We're breaking down the raw, completely unfiltered reality of competitive exam prep, specifically looking at a JEE aspirant living in Kota. Just picture this. 2 बजे रात को जब पूरा hostel सो रहा होता है, तब असली battles start होती है. Oh man, it is that exact lonely vibe. We are definitely not talking about those shiny coaching institute billboards or the polished success interviews today. No way. We are getting straight into the real trenches of the preparation phase, where those nights are endlessly long and the syllabus, well, it feels like it's literally never going to end.
The source text sets the scene so perfectly with this one line. रात के 2:17 बज रहे थे. The tube light in this tiny hostel room is still glaringly bright. We have our main subject here, Aarav, and he's just hunched over his desk, intensely staring down this massive, intimidating physics module. Right next to him, a half-empty glass of cold coffee. It's the ultimate survival fuel for these late-night grinds.
And we absolutely cannot forget his roommate, Kabir. Honestly, we have all lived with this guy. Or, let's be real, maybe we were this guy. Aarav is sitting there completely stressing out, while Kabir is flat out asleep on his bed. His headphones are still securely on his ears, blasting a one-shot revision lecture. The professor in the audio is literally yelling, "Students, feel the rotation," while Kabir is just in the deepest, most peaceful sleep ever.
But the contrast inside that room is just harsh. You walk into almost any of these hostel rooms, and you are guaranteed to see that famous sticky note taped to the wall. AIR under 500, all India rank under 500. The expectation is just sky high. But the reality on the ground? Aarav throws his pen down in total frustration and mutters that this rotation concept is going to rotate his brain one day. He realizes that with barely 3 months left, organic chemistry still looks like an absolute alien language to him.
Exactly. Kabir actually wakes up half asleep and tries to comfort him a bit, telling them that everyone feels like they know nothing right before the exam. But for Aarav, that logic just doesn't register at all in that moment. The text points out that there's this cool breeze coming through the window from the light rain outside, but the pressure inside that room is so incredibly intense, it literally feels heavy just to take a normal breath.
And let's unpack exactly why that atmosphere is so suffocating. There is a 7 a.m. coaching test looming over him, literally just a few hours away. In the high-stakes world of a JEE aspirant, a test is never just a simple assessment of what you've learned. It is another brutal, public opportunity to compare yourself to every single person around you. It sits like a physical weight right on your chest.
Seriously, trying to force yourself to fall asleep when you know you have to wake up and perform at 7 a.m., it is brutal, man. Your brain completely refuses to shut off. You're just lying there in the dark, constantly cycling through all the complex formulas you might have forgotten. So then morning finally arrives, the test finishes up, and we immediately hit the absolute worst part of the entire week, the post-test classroom discussions. The chaotic, hyper-competitive energy in that room is deafening. The very second the papers are collected, everyone is just shouting out their scores. Bhai mera 172 aa gaya, mera 201. Oh, mera to bas silly mistakes warna aur aate. It becomes this incredibly intense echo chamber where every single conversation is just a walking ranking system. And right in the dead center of all that deafening noise, Aarav is completely, utterly silent. He is just sitting quietly at his desk, staring blankly ahead as all these high numbers just fly around him. Because Aarav's score is 96. Let's just sit with that number for a second. When the guy sitting right next to you is casually complaining about only scoring a 201, seeing a 2-digit number on your own paper feels incredibly crushing. It is deeply, deeply isolating. You are sitting in a classroom literally packed with people, but you have never felt more utterly alone in your entire life.
And to add to that massive weight, his teacher hands him his answer sheet and simply says, "You need to work harder." Ouch, that really stings.
Right. They are such simple, generic words, but when you were awake at 2 a.m., when you were chugging cold coffee just to keep your eyes open and forcing yourself through those endless modules, those simple words act as a direct, painful hit right to the heart. It completely invalidates all that unseen, silent effort from the night before.
So when the lunch break finally hits, Aarav just desperately needs an escape. He retreats all the way up to the terrace of the coaching building. It becomes his only quiet refuge away from that intense competitive pressure cooker down below. He pulls out his phone, and he sees he has a text message waiting from his mother. The text simply reads, "Beta khana time se khana aur stress mat lena, hame tum pe bharosa hai." He just stares at the glowing screen for a few seconds. And then, completely silently, the tears just start to flow. Man, that hits so hard. Parental trust carries an immense, incredible weight. It's usually not even pressure they are putting on you intentionally. But when you are struggling so much and feeling like you are failing, their unconditional belief in you almost makes the guilt feel heavier. You feel like you're letting them down, especially when you are living so far away from home.
But then, Kabir comes up to the terrace. Aarav finally breaks down and confesses his deepest fear, whispering that sometimes he honestly feels like the IITs are just built for other people and definitely not for him. And Kabir, stepping right into that role of the grounding friend, sits down and drops this absolute truth bomb. He says, honestly, everyone feels like they aren't enough. Even the guy scoring 200 feels it. JEE एक एग्जाम कम और mental game ज़्यादा है, and that is the absolute core reality of this preparation. It is just imposter syndrome spread across the entire spectrum of students.
As the days bleed into weeks, this preparation just turns into a wild emotional roller coaster. One day, your motivation is sky high. You're solving complex equations like a total machine. But the very next day, a completely wasted day where you literally cannot even focus on a single page. You go from hyping yourself up, thinking, "Is baar four denge," to suddenly spiraling into the dark thought of, man, maybe taking a drop here won't even be enough. By JEE preparation में confidence Wi-Fi signal की तरह होता है, कभी full, कभी गायब. Yet, despite this exhausting emotional pendulum swinging back and forth, what actually defines them is the raw discipline, the routine. Every single night that alarm is set. Every morning they attend that class. Every week there is another brutal test. After every single failure, they somehow manage to turn the page and just try again.
And all of that relentless page-turning eventually leads exactly here. D-Day. JEE Advanced, the ultimate culmination of years of sweat, tears, and way too much cold coffee. The scene right outside the exam center is just intense. Hundreds of students are standing around everywhere. Some are clutching their admit cards like a literal lifeline, while others are frantically whispering last-minute formulas to themselves. The anticipation hanging in the air is thick enough to cut with a knife.
Right before they actually go in, Kabir looks over at Aarav and asks if he's nervous. Aarav laughs slightly and admits, very. And Kabir just casually replies, good, matlab tu serious hai. That is such an amazingly grounding, realistic moment between friends. There is zero toxic positivity here. No fake, you're guaranteed to get AIR 1, bro. Just fully acknowledging the fear and recognizing that feeling scared simply means you actually care. Then, that final bell rings, and they walk into the hall to face the paper.
Fast forward a bit, and we arrive at the infamous result day. It is absolute chaos. You've got the servers crashing repeatedly because lakhs of students are trying to log in at the exact same second. Your heartbeat is literally syncing up with every single frantic click of the refresh button, hands are shaking uncontrollably, and then finally, breaking all that insane tension, Kabir yells, "Bhai, result khul gaya." It is pure, unfiltered anxiety instantly turning into the ultimate moment of truth.
With trembling hands, Aarav looks closely at his screen, and there is his score. AIR 6421. All India rank 6421. It's not IIT Bombay. It is not some top 100 rank that's going to get his face plastered on a giant billboard. But out of over 1 million students, it is his reality. He just stares at the glowing screen for a few quiet seconds, fully taking in the number that defines the end of this incredibly grueling journey.
Then, his phone rings. It's his ma. She says, "Son." Aarav speaks softly, his voice physically shaking with a heavy mix of total exhaustion and pure relief. "Ma, IIT mil jayegi." And then there is just a profound silence on the other end of the line. A deep, heavy silence before his mother finally breaks down in tears. And it's not out of disappointment, but of sheer, overwhelming relief that the immense mental toll is finally over.
It's in that specific, quiet moment that Aarav realizes something so fundamental. JEE is far, far more than just a rank or an admission ticket to a college. That number, 6421, isn't just a simple metric of his physics and math skills. It is a testament to his silent breakdowns on the coaching terrace, to the sleepless nights staring at alien formulas, to every single time he deeply doubted himself but picked up the pen anyway.
And so the crucial point we really take away from this explainer is the reality of that stubborn hope. उस stubborn hope का जो हर aspirant के अंदर जिंदा रहती है.
Absolutely. It is not about giving grand motivational speeches or guaranteeing some magical success to everyone. It's about acknowledging the incredible raw discipline it actually takes. That no matter how many times a student thinks to themselves, it's just not going to happen, they still wake up the very next day, sit back at their desk and try again.
That resilience right there is the true victory. It's what actually shapes you for the rest of your life. So what do you think fuels your stubborn hope? Thank you for joining us for today's explainer. Keep turning the page and we'll see you next time.